A buddy of mine uh, was he was saying, you know, that I should be careful because I do all that crawling around, but I don't wear any knee pads. Well, I don't wear any knee pads. That's correct. But then whenever I'm doing all the when I crawl from one end to the other end in the in the bedroom that you might have seen, then I usually take a break. From if I crawl from one end to the other, and it usually takes me 5 minutes maybe, to crawl from one end to the other. So, after 5 minutes, I take a little break, give my knees a little rest. Then I get back at it again, and I get on all fours again. I put myself up, push myself up on all fours again, and so I start crawling again. And then, like I said, it takes about 5 minutes to go from one end of the room to the other end if I crawl. So, and I check out my knees. They're red. They get a little bit red, but not too bad. And I look at them, and they don't have any bug burns on them either. Whenever I'm moving, whenever I'm crawling, I don't know if it's just because I move so slowly, or if it's also, it's probably more because I lift. I lift up one hip and move it and swing it forward. Here I am. I'm just gonna transfer out of my chair so that I can do some crawling. The ceramic tile is not very forgiving, so I think it would be best if I had some gloves. I think I need to get some gloves. And see, the floor was so slippery that it was hard for me to, you know, get on all fours, get on my knees, because it just kept my legs kept wanting to slide. But I think one of the things that helped out my legs from sliding so much was that I had my Croc shoes on, the rubber shoes the black rubber shoes that I have on. I think they kind of help stop my feet from sliding back constantly whenever I'm trying to, go back, push up, and from laying down, push up, so I can be sitting or be in the crawling position. And I really think that I was just so nervous about this whole thing, and it hurts like crazy whenever you have your hands and fists and you're pushing on the ceramic tile. So I figured I put my hand, I opened up my hand. This is really hard on your wrists, though. So if you have your hand open as opposed to having your hand closed, in a fist, whenever you do any movement, any movement with your hand and the rest of your body that relies on your hand, on your wrists. See, the floor was pretty darn slippery, so every once in a while I would accidentally, fall down. My knees would slide out from under. But what I do is, that helps. Oops. I try to keep I try to put pressure on my knees, so so they tend not to go anywhere. Because if I don't put any pressure on my knees, then they might, because they might want to slide out from under me. So I'm pretty happy with what happened with the with having the knee pads. It was a little bit slippery, but I'm pretty happy. I mean, my knees were still kind of red whenever I was done crawling, but I mean, not too bad. I mean, I think the redness went away on my knees, so I was pretty happy there about that. One of our dogs, a Yorkie Terrier. Maybe he's wondering what I'm doing, I don't know. But I was crawling and getting around the corner, going around the corner in the hall, and crawling, I would crawl to a bedroom actually that, I do most of my crawling in already, but I didn't turn around really that fast, so, I'm already coming back this way, but, there was a little bit of time that I spent, going down there, crawling all the way down there, and then to the side there, and then turning around, and then getting back on all fours again, and crawling this way, and crawling back. So what I do is like I said, I try and put, if I want to move my left leg, then I'll try and put all my weight on my right leg, so it kind of lifts up my left leg. It might look like I'm moving. I'm actually physically moving my hips, or my knees, but really I'm not. I'm doing it more from my hips. I'm using gravity to swing my foot forward, and I'm also using my upper body to pull my legs forward a little bit. So, I don't know the level of it. I don't know if a T12 or a T11. Well, I think a T12 still can do this, but a T11 I'm not sure, or T10. I know I heard that people all the way up to an injury of like T6 or T7 could crawl, but I'm not sure. I don't know. I guess my balance is. I think my balance is not that great, but then I guess my balance is not that great compared to a lot of I used to play wheelchair basketball, and a lot of the guys in wheelchair basketball have very good balance. They never seem to have to worry about falling over or anything like that. So I really got to work on my balance whenever I try and shoot a basket. I really gotta try and stay still whenever I'm shooting a basket. So I gotta tighten my muscles, but it's difficult. But what I'm getting at is my balance, I think, would be comparable to, somebody that's a lot higher entry, someone that's a T6, or T8 or something like that. See, my legs almost slid out from under me right there, because the floor is pretty slippery. But yeah, I don't think my balance is that great, because I did have a muscle flap. So part of my left ab muscles, a section of most of my left abs were just removed they were in a muscle flap that was tucked down into my left hip. My left spot. Left, what's it called? It's whenever they removed the heterotopic ossification, then they created a void or a space there, and that void or space it never filled in, so it was just a vacancy that I was always there. So what they did, they went in, they did a muscle flap. They took one of my abs, my left abdomen muscle, and they flipped it downwards and put it into and tucked it into that void that was created whenever they removed all that heterotopic ossification, or all that extra bone from my left hip area. My left hip area, not too long after my injury, was just fused shut totally, so I could almost not even bend it any way at all, and I couldn't lean down or anything like that. I was locked in place. But so here I am. I took my knee pads off and I put them over here next to the, on the table, and in my man cave. And so next time I want to crawl,